Hi, good morning, and welcome to Inside South Florida. I'm Dave Azer. Today, as we turn the calendar towards 2014, a local political expert will tell us what's good and what's bad about South Florida politics. Plus, we fill up your holiday social event calendar and how you can play football at Sun Life Stadium to help people suffering from Crohn's and colitis. That and more as Inside South Florida starts right now. Are you proud to be a Sunshine Stater, happy with the way the state's going? What would you fix about the state and South Florida? Well, here is local political correspondent and the founder of SayfieReview.com, Justin Sayfie, to share his thoughts. Justin, it's been a while, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to have you here.
Thanks.
You're this traveler now. I don't want to say global, although maybe you are. but you just came back from Orlando not too long ago, and you're stretching the level of your importance up Florida now. And you just had the Sayfie Review Summit. What went down there?
Well, we got together the state's top leaders from business, from our universities, from government. We had elected officials, the governor, the legislators, we had mayors, county commissioners, editorial page editors. We had a really unique assemblage of leaders from the state of Florida. It was an invitation-only event. We had 300 people gathered in Orlando to talk about things that could disrupt the future of Florida and also what some of Florida's big goals should be for the future. So it was a successful first-year event, and it's something that we want to do every year from now on. And the other thing is that the event was nonpartisan. So we were trying to have a very thoughtful event that didn't get caught up in current day politics.
Was this was your brainchild, your passion project?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and this must have been quite the undertaking to put this together.
It was huge. It was a huge undertaking. I was inspired by the World Economic Forum that they have in Davos, Switzerland every year. And I said, you know what, Florida is a big enough state. We have enough intellectual capital. We have enough challenges that we need to be able to convene Florida's leaders in a nonpartisan way to talk about what things we need to do to make sure Florida's ready to go forward in the future.
It's like I said at the start of the interview, you're almost global. You're practically getting there.
And not yet.
So some of the things that you touched on, the health of Florida citizens, alternative transportation, reading amongst third graders.
Right.
What were some of the big initiatives?
Yeah, so basically these leaders got together and we had discussion groups, and the leaders came up with goals for the state of Florida. So for instance, in education, and these were we called big, hairy, audacious goals. Right. Not small little goals, but goals that you need 10 to 20 years to accomplish. So in education, it was the goal of 100% of Florida's third graders reading at the third grade level by the end of third grade. So that was the goal, that not a single third grader by the end of third grade would not be reading at the grade level. In transportation, it was to be the first state in the country to have an alternative power system for vehicles throughout the state of Florida, an alternative infrastructure. So these electric cars that we have now, so that those cars in the future, which are going to be the cars of the future, will have places to refuel anywhere in the state.
Right.
So those are examples of two goals, both in transportation and education.
Can most 8th graders read at a third grade level?
Oh, you know, I don't know what the statistic is, but we're over 50% in terms of third graders. But ideally, I mean, obviously, that's a big goal. If we could get to 100%, that would have incredible results for the entire educational system.
All right, so you get together, you talk about it, you come up with some great ideas. Now what happens?
So now we had 37 state legislators there. We had business leaders from across the state. So now we're looking to those leaders and some of our partners to actually take and adopt some of those goals and to drive them and to advocate for them and to push them forward. So that's the phase that we're in right now.
And then people go to the SayfieReview.com, right? And then like vote on it and things
Well,
like that?
so right now we have the goals that we'll be posting them on the website, SayfieReview.com. People have a chance to weigh in, they'll have a chance to comment on them, and then we're also going to continue to have a conversation through social media, through Facebook and things like that.
So you mentioned this before, that it was bipartisan, it was nonpartisan.
Right.
I know you and I were just talking about this before the interview started, but as just sort of a regular Joe who watches the news, who participates in the sort of machinations of politics just from like on my couch, you know, it's so discouraging to see so much inaction get
Right.
done, if inaction can get done, because of partisan politics.
Right.
So you just sort of experienced it. God, what's the bright side here? How can Republicans and Democrats get along and make politics?
Well, and I think that's it. And what I said when I opened the summit was that, there's enough politics out there and everyone can be as political as they want to be the other 363 days of the year. And that's fine. We have a First Amendment. We have freedom. People can say whatever they want to say and believe what they want to believe. But I tried to carve out a space for 2 days during the summit where everyone can put whatever hats they wear the rest of the year, take those hats off and put on their Florida hat and think about Florida first. And it doesn't matter whether the idea came from a Republican or the idea came from a Democrat. And you know what? People really responded to it. They liked it. And after the summit was over, everyone went back and they did their own thing. But at least for 2 days, we were able to create a space where elected officials, where business leaders, where nonprofit leaders in the state could come together, have a conversation, and not worry about the political one-upsmanship and the gamesmanship that you see every day on the TV and the front page of the newspaper.
Right, because constituents weren't necessarily involved and the interest groups weren't necessarily involved for those 2 days. But how do you do it on a bigger scale? I mean, if I could ask you to play sort of national political correspondent, what do you think?
Well, I hope that something like that could also happen nationally as well. I think that Florida is the 4th largest state in the United States of America. We should be a leader. I really believe that Florida can lead the country in something like this. So my goal is to show that it can be done successfully in Florida and that people can come together regardless of political partisanship and do something. And I believe that if we can make it work here in Florida, other states will follow.
Oh, I hope you're right. Yeah,
I hope so too.
Yeah. All right, let's talk with the remaining time we have left about South Florida specifically.
Yeah.
And as we turn the calendar to 2014, what are a couple of the really big issues facing us down here?
Well, I think that 2 issues. One, and these are the issues that really typically don't change. Well, I would say 3. One is the economy. What's happening with our economy? Will our unemployment rate continue to go down? Will new businesses continue to open when we have new job creation? That's top of mind because obviously we've been really hurting in South Florida for the last 5 years with the real estate market and unemployment. 2, I think the quality of our educational system. I think both in Dade and Broward counties we have good leadership in the superintendents of both school systems, and now I think it's going to be interesting to see whether they can continue to build on the progress they've made in recent years. And then 3, I think really healthcare is going to be a big issue. I think what's happening with the federal healthcare reform and how that's impacting businesses and employers and individuals' healthcare policies. I think 2014 will be the year, and we're such a populous area of the state down here. We're a politically important part of the state. I think that how healthcare reform impacts South Florida could have an impact on the country.
And as you look at those 3 issues or any other issues, is there cause for optimism anywhere across the board for South Florida?
I think so. I think there is a cause for optimism. I think that the economy is slowly getting back to where it should be. It's not where it was before we entered the recession in 2008, but I think that everyone can feel and sense some progress being made. People are moving back into Florida again. You see construction cranes when you drive around town. So I think that there are the initial signs, and the important thing is to keep it growing and to keep it growing forward, and that's going to be the challenge.
All right, tell us about SayfieReview.com.
Okay, well, SayfieReview.com is a website that I started in 2002. It's the online Bible for Florida political junkies. If you want to know anything that's going on in politics in the state of Florida, this is the website to go to. We aggregate news stories from all over the state of Florida having to do with Florida politics. And it's if you're a political news addict, this is the way you get your hit.
How many times would you estimate in this 8-minute interview that your phone went off?
I turned it off, so I don't know, maybe 5 to 10.
Yeah, I'm sure you have like a slew of texts and emails up. But thank you for taking a few minutes to chat with us. Always good to see you, my friend.
Dave, thanks so much for having me. Good to see you too.
All right, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you so much, Justin. When we come back, there are some great events over the Christmas and New Year's holidays here in South Florida. Want to know what they are? We'll tell you, and we'll tell you how you can be part of them. Stick around.